we've got two new smartphone gimbals entering the race. We've got the Osmo Mobile 7P, which is their Pro version, and the Osmo Mobile 7. Now you're probably looking at them going, they look quite similar. They look remarkably similar to each other. Everything down to the button layout, the way that the legs come out, you've got built-in tripod legs down the base there. Everything looks quite similar here. Now there are some differences, but interestingly enough, not too many. So looking at the actual aesthetic, the design of it, obviously you're seeing that there's two different colors. So the Pro version is this darker color here, and the lighter color is just the 7, the standard version. Now, what we're looking at when we look at the Pro version is we're getting an extension rod. So that's something you're not getting on the standard version. Both versions do have the built-in tripod legs down the base, but the Pro version is the one that gets this really nice extension rod here. Similar to previous years, it does fold down like so to give you that really unique perspective, different angle, and that then obviously collapses down like so. In terms of design here, the Pro version gives you this toggle wheel / button, as well as that extension rod. Now the unique offering here, the brand new offering for this range, is this guy here. It is the multifunctional module. It's a tiny little module that connects on magnetically. You can then release it and turn it the other way. So depending on which way you want it to face, you can connect that on. And what's interesting, right, is that I can literally take this piece off, the clamp, and then I can connect this clamp up to the 7 version, because this is also compatible with the module. And now I've got a very similar offering here. The only thing I'm missing is now that side toggle wheel and the extension rod. So you can buy a standalone version of the multifunctional module, because now if we're looking at it, it's obviously a different color to this one. So you can get a different clamp that connects with the module as well if you're looking for that with the 7 version instead of the Pro version. But just going back to the Pro version here, what this module actually does is it gives you full control to start tracking a subject without using the Mimo application. So this is huge. It means that you can use the native camera application on your device. You can use other third-party camera applications. You can even use inbuilt apps, like if you're live streaming on Instagram or TikTok, you can still use the module here to start tracking you while you're going live on your phone. So this module doubles as a fill light. So there's the option to use the fill light there just to light up the subject a bit. And it's also got a little camera there, so it works as an AI tracking module. So you can track subjects and light up the scene without having to use the DJI camera app or their Mimo application. You can literally just use the standard iPhone camera app or Samsung or whatever device you're using, or a third-party one, and it will be able to track you with this setup now. If you've got your eyes on one of these, or maybe both of them, maybe one's a gift, the other one you're gonna get for yourself, then I will have some links down in the description below. If you're based in Australia, you can go over to the D1 Store's website. You can reach out to them directly via email, sales@d1store.com.au, mention DansTube and they will help you out with the best deal they can. You can also use the code DansTube on their website to save on most drones, cameras and accessories. And I will also have some international deals down below for both of these, so make sure to go down there and check all of those out. And probably my favorite feature out of all of that is the fact that this module, once you've got it plugged in with a cable to your phone, you can literally wirelessly then connect up the mic mini up to the module, and then that will sync everything. So it's going to sync the audio to the recording. It's then going to also charge your device if you've got it plugged in, and it works flawlessly. It works really well. So you're getting high quality audio from the mic mini, you're getting tracking natively in the camera application, and you're getting a fill light, which is actually quite bright considering how small the little module is. It's got multiple levels of intensity and it does a great job of lighting up the scene. So that really does change a lot, because we're getting that high quality audio piece. That's one of the pieces that hasn't been ticked off from any other smartphone gimbal, in my opinion. We've seen these tracking modules before, we've seen fill lights before, and they all do something quite similar here. Obviously there's variations in how well they track and the intensity of the light and everything else. But the fact that we're getting high quality audio that we can just set up and have on a gimbal, on a little smartphone gimbal, that's the piece that I think is really interesting here. In terms of weight, the 7P weighs a little more, so it's 368 grams approximately, and the 7 weighs 300 grams. So they're both relatively light, with the 7P weighing a little bit more. They both have roughly the same operating time or battery life of 10 hours, which is perfect for most people. You're only going to be using this for very casual stuff, so 10 hours is great. In terms of that multifunctional module that I just spoke about, so it is just a standard supported offering with the 7P, but it's an optional offering for the 7. So like I said, you can get yourself that module for the 7. So if you don't see yourself wanting the extension rod, you don't care for that little side wheel, then this is basically the same offering once you get that multifunctional module on top here. So this could be a way of saving a little bit of money on the gimbal, but then you still have to pay the money to get the module. So it kind of depends. It's probably, to be honest with you, worthwhile just getting the 7P because it's not that much more expensive, and then you get the module anyway. But completely up to you and how you're seeing yourself using one of these devices. They both have the built-in tripod option, which is great, and they both support quick launch, which is phenomenal. Straight when you fold open the gimbal, it will automatically power it on, and same when you fold it back down again. So once it's locked into place like so, I can then flip it up and it will automatically power on and go straight into its position. So as long as my phone's in there, obviously, I can start recording pretty much instantly. And so that feature, that quick launch feature, is available on both models. They both offer ActiveTrack 7.0, so the latest ActiveTrack for the smartphone range. And from my experiences, it's been great. I was extremely impressed actually, which I was impressed with the previous model, the Osmo Mobile 6. But you can literally use this little wheel here to zoom in. And what I found myself doing was you press the trigger once and it will enable ActiveTrack straight away. So if you're through the application, press that, it will create that box around whatever, a boat, person, whatever it may be. Starts tracking them instantly, and then you can just start zooming in and out, and it's going to continue to focus on that subject as it's moving. And so ActiveTrack 7.0 is definitely more advanced. It does a really great job. It never lost a subject for me. Occasionally it would do a little bit of a sweeping motion to try to find something, but when I'm trying to track things like at a distance away, it did a really, really great job. In terms of stabilization, they're both 3-axis gimbals. They both did a really great job with most of the scenarios I put them through. Any sort of movement was really smooth, really good across the board. Occasionally you get this kind of effect, this bouncing effect as you're walking, and occasionally it isn't amazing, but majority of the time it does a really good job of keeping everything stable, tracking the subject, and doing what you need it to do. And also that comes down to user error as well, right? Like if I'm walking too fast, of course you're going to get some of that movement, that bouncing. So that's on me as well for some of that stuff. But yeah, keep in mind they're not as strong, these motors, as the larger gimbal systems out there. It's obviously a more affordable option, and so motors aren't as expensive, they aren't as robust as some of those more expensive gimbals out there. But it's only got to carry the weight of a phone, and it does a great job. It really does a great job in the majority of the scenarios that I put it through. It is nice to have some new gimbals from DJI here. I feel like the cheaper 7 version is almost a little bit of an odd release, because this guy here is basically this guy, but with a few new features. So it's almost like, why would you get this one if you can spend a little bit more and then get the multifunctional module as well as, you know, an extension rod and the ability to have an additional functionality with this scrolling wheel here? To me, it makes more sense to spend a little bit extra to get this guy, but maybe some people want something like this. I know that a lot of places you can't use extension rods, so something like this would be great because it doesn't have any extension rod, but also it's so subtle in here that you can't even tell that it's an extension rod. So you could get away with using this just like this, not extended out, but then if you ever need the extension rod, you've obviously got it. So to me, I would lean heavily towards spending just a little bit extra and getting yourself the 7P version. I don't really fully understand why you would want to get this one if you could just get this one for a little bit more. But everyone's got their own reasons for why they would do that, obviously. So to me, I'm looking at this one as the flagship. This is their 7P version. Very similar in terms of its build quality and design when I think of the Osmo Mobile 6, very similar. This button was new with that, the extension rod was new with that one, so you know that was kind of, this is just the natural progression from that. And so when I look at this, the brand new offering here is obviously the legs that come out like so, and then the module. They're the two key big upgrades here when we look at this. There's obviously software improvements, there's probably been some other tweaking when it comes to certain hardware components, but really when we're looking at it, this is the main piece. This is the big upgrade here. And it does a lot. It's not just a simple basic light, it is a tracking module with AI integrated. It's got a camera that tracks you. It's also got that integration with the Mic Mini, and it's a great addition. I really like that. That's the main piece here, and it does a great job at what it does. Unless you don't see yourself ever needing a fill light, you never want to have high quality audio, and you don't care for tracking outside of the Mimo app, that's the only time that I would suggest getting this guy here, the Osmo Mobile 7. If you don't need any of that functionality, right? You don't need the extension rod, you don't care for the side wheel, you don't care for anything else, then that's fine. You can get this and then later on maybe upgrade, and obviously you can get yourself the connection piece that's going to work, so you can then get yourself this additional piece, and then it almost becomes the 7P, but without two features, right? With no extension rod and no wheel on the side. So that's where maybe you would get something like this. But for me, the 7P is the one to get. It is their flagship. It is the one that has all the bells and whistles. Very similar when it comes to design. So if you like the previous version, you're going to like this one. For me, I really actually want to see a larger trigger. I want something more pronounced, something that feels like a trigger. It feels really like a button at this stage, and that was similar with the previous version. So that's why my one big feedback when it comes to hardware. I'd love for that button to actually be a trigger, not a button. And also these legs here, they work well, but I feel like these could maybe be a bit smoother. Like they can be a little bit wiggly to get in sometimes and come out. It does feel fine, and I can see that it's definitely gonna stand the test of time because it's built very well, but maybe that could be a little bit of a smoother experience. So they're the two big things I would say. Smoother experience there, more of a pronounced trigger on the back. But overall, it's a great gimbal, great offering. There's a lot going on here, and I think if you're going to upgrade, get yourself the 7P. Really, just go for the flagship here, spend a little bit more, and get those extra bells and whistles. Anyway guys, so those are all my thoughts on the Osmo 7 and Osmo 7P. I appreciate all the support, and I will chat to you in the next one. Peace.